Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 10, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka, text number 14. Nyarundanudgalat baspam Utkancha devaki sute Niryachagara no badram Iti Shadbandavastriya Nyarundanudgalat baspam Utkancha devaki sute. Yeah, that's not so good. Utkancha devaki sute Niryachagara no badram Iti Shadbandavastriya.
Utkancha devaki sute Niryachagara no badram Iti Shadbandavastriya.
No problem.
Nyarundhan udgalat bashpam Utkancha devaki sute Niryatagara no bhadram Jisya bandhavastriya. Nyarundhan udgalat bashpam Utkancha devaki sute Niryatagara no bhadram Iti Shadbandhavastriya.
Nyarundan, checking with great difficulty. Udgalat, overflowing. Baspam, tears. Utkancha, because of great anxiety. Devaki sute, unto the son of Devaki. Niryati, having come out. Agarat, from the palace. Not. Abhadram, inauspicious. Iti, thus. Shat, may happen. Bandhava, relative. Striya, ladies. Translation. The female relatives, whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna, came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. Purport. There were hundreds of ladies in the palace of Hastinapur. All of them were affectionate to Krishna. All of them were relatives also. When they saw that Krishna was going away from the palace for his native place, they were very anxious for him, and as usual, tears began to roll down their cheeks. They thought at the same time that tears at that moment might be a cause of misfortune for Krishna. Therefore, they wanted to check them. This was very difficult for them because the tears could not be checked. Therefore, they smeared their tears in their eyes, and their hearts throbbed. Therefore, ladies who were the wives and daughters-in-law of those who died in the battlefield never came in direct contact with Krishna, but all of them heard of him and his great activities, And thus they thought of him, talked of him, his name, fame, etc., and became affectionate also, like those who were in direct contact. Therefore, directly or indirectly, anyone who thinks of Krishna, talks of Krishna, or worships Krishna, becomes attached to Krishna, because Krishna is absolute. There is no difference between his name, form, quality, etc. Our intimate relationship with Krishna can be confidentially revived by our talking of, hearing of, or remembering him. It is so done due to spiritual potency. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnanana Salakaya Saksuram Minitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Vinodistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Narati Swapayam Giham. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. The ladies in Hastinapur were very fortunate because they had become very much attached to Krishna. Some by direct association, some by indirect association, by hearing about him and his qualities and activities. But all were fortunate because all had developed attachment. And in this way, the emotions that they expressed were fully transcendental. And tears were flowing from their eyes, but they did not desire those tears because they thought that tears might not bring pleasure to Krishna now that he was leaving and cause some misfortune to him. So they tried to check their tears. But because even above the symptoms of their ecstasy, the symptoms of their deep attachment to Krishna, did they care for Krishna's welfare? So they were not looking for some ecstasy in spiritual life. They were concerned with Krishna's happiness, and that was their only interest. That is truly the platform of pure devotional service, where we see the example of Daruka, the chariot driver, who was fanning Krishna and for Krishna's pleasure. But then he became so overwhelmed by ecstasy that he was able to fan Krishna. By the thought of it, that here I am fanning Krishna. And then he developed ecstatic symptoms and he froze on the spot, he couldn't move. Then he condemned these ecstatic symptoms. He says, what is the use of this? Now I can't serve. So he was so absorbed in the service, and that was his greatest pleasure. That was the greatest mercy, service and the pleasure of Krishna, not the pleasure of service. Sometimes we look at, I don't like this service, I don't like that service, because we're interested in the pleasure of service. But when we're interested in the pleasure of Krishna, then service may change, but the essence is the pleasure of Krishna. So in this way, we are seeing the pure transcendental platform. The association of Krishna always acts, whether it is by being with Krishna personally, like these fortunate personalities. Who were they? Who were they in a previous life? that now they could be in the palace with Krishna in Hastinapur. Who were these great souls? Who were they? It is also mentioned in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, Krita Punja Punja. That Krita Punya Punja, the cowherd boys were thinking, they were playing with Krishna, they were picnicking with Krishna, they spent all their time every day with Krishna. And then the cowherd boys for a moment thought, Krita Punya Punja, what pious activities might we have been performed? What benefit? What is the cause that now we have received this benefit? We, of course, are equally fortunate. Equally fortunate. We are also Krita Punya Punja, because somehow or other we are in connection with the Sankirtan movement of the Supreme Lord. And the same potency is there. The very same. The same opulence. Golokira Premadana Harinam Sankirtana. The very same spiritual potency is there now. Although when we look at the eternal associates of Krishna, they are extraordinary. They are amazing personalities. One of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is said, even one of them had the potency to deliver the entire universe. What to speak of many? But somehow or other, although we may not be of that caliber, although we may be dwarfs, it is said that the dwarf is trying to capture the moon. How is it possible? But by the mercy of Krishna, everything becomes possible. So here we are, the same potency that was there at the time when the ladies in Hastinapur directly saw Krishna. That same potency is there now. Now Krishna is present in the form of his deity. Now Krishna is present in the form of his name. In this way, we're celebrating. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is mentioned, it is said that that Krishna appeared in every home in Navadvip. So that's a little bit in every home. He appeared in the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi as their son, in the yoga pit. There is his appearance place. In every home, yes, he appeared in every home in the form of the holy name. So in that way, Krishna is directly present. And we are also directly getting that full mercy of Krishna. And also getting purified by the same potency. And that same potency will surely awaken attachment to Krishna. First, maybe attachment to devotional service, and because we are conditioned to a particular devotional service. But then, as we are continuing the particular devotional service that we like, then, or that we can relate to, then after some time, we just become attached to Krishna. And then, whatever it is, somehow or other, let us serve Krishna. Because everything else is simply starvation. When there's no service to Krishna, what is there? Then life is empty and dry. Then there's only illusion. And then there's only false promise, false hope, then there's only cheating. Then we are cheating ourselves. Kaitava dharma, simply the activities of karma and gyan, the activities of trying to exploit the material entity, yayedam daryate jagat, to take the elements of this material world and try and squeeze some enjoyment for our senses out of them. But meanwhile, the senses enslave us and entrap us as agents of Maya. In kamadinam kutida purita duri desam tesam jate mayina karuna natapatraya. The senses have no mercy. They are endlessly driving us, and nothing is ever enough. Whatever we bring in this way, we'll exhaust ourselves completely in the attempt to enjoy in the material world. But surrounded by mercy on all sides, surrounded by the transcendental mercy of Lord Chaitanya and his pure devotees, even extended mercy. It is stated that Lord Nityananda is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. And still more merciful are the pure devotees that are the servants of Lord Nityananda. And in this way, mercy multiplies. That is the amazing thing. It is said that if one distributes the mercy, if one distributes the fruits of love of God, then one will have more and more. So in this way, the mercy is increasing in this world. Because as mercy is touching people, they become transformed. And then they also become carriers of transcendental mercy. So it is very nice. Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Krishna. It is fully potent. And here we see anybody, doesn't matter who, anybody can become fully transcendentally attached to Krishna and can become swept up in transcendental emotions, which is pleasing to Krishna, because Savain Pumso Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktira Dokshaje Haitiki Apatiyata Yayatma Supasidati. It is said that this pure devotional service, which is unalloyed, Ahaitiki Apatiyata, there is no interruption and there is no other motivation. Such pure devotional service, in the translation in the Bhagavatam it says loving devotional service, not just devotional service, but here Srila Prabhupada translates bhakti as loving devotional service. Yes, such loving devotional service can purchase Krishna. Mukti dadati bhakti na karichit. Yes, mukti, liberation. You want liberation? I will give you. You take that, liberation from birth and death. But bhakti, I am hiding. Bhakti, I have no bhakti, Krishna says. Liberation I have for you. No, Krishna, we want bhakti. No, sorry, I have only liberation today. Take some liberation. No, Krishna. What are you hiding behind your back? Behind my back? Oh, that. Isn't that bhakti? Oh, yes, it is. Oh, Krishna, that's what we want. We want bhakti. Give us that. So Krishna is hiding bhakti, it is stated. And why is he hiding bhakti? Because by bhakti he becomes purchased. So Impersonal calamity thou hast moved. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. Srila Prabhupada wrote in the Vyasa Puja offering to his spiritual master. Impersonal calamity is where we kill all feeling. It's false. That is all false. That is all illusion. All personal relationships are false. But actually, relationships are real. That is the proper understanding. So the impersonal calamity, a life of denial, a life of killing ourselves, that life is now stopped. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. The Supreme Personality of Godhead also has feelings. Krishna also, when Hiranyakasipu was harassing innocent Prahlad, who was only 5 years old and weak and a child, and who needed protection, and Hiranyakasipu, an extremely huge, powerful demon, ready to kill him, then the Lord became very angry, extremely angry, and showed anger like no one had ever seen, and became a half man, half lion. Very brilliant, because he had to uphold the words of Lord Brahma. Not inside, not outside, not in the day, not in the night, not by any weapon, etc., not by any man, not by any animal. So he did that by becoming Nrsingadev, because he was not man, not animal, killed at twilight, so he didn't kill in the day, didn't kill in the night. That wasn't all. But he also chose this form of the lion, of the half man, half lion, out of anger. Because when you want to express your anger, what better way than do it through a lion form and roar, roar, and he roared, if you know what I mean. It's like, an angry mouse doesn't quite cut it, right? Obviously, an angry lion is where you really can express. So therefore, he had to be half man, half lion, and with the lion head and also the lion nails, right? Just to sort of express that anger. So what kind of anger was that? That was very deep anger. And yet, within a moment, that anger was checked. When someone gets very angry, I mean, sometimes you get into a big argument, and especially in marriage, then you're very close to someone. Then when it breaks loose, then it gets like quite strong, and then you're angry, and then you try to make peace. And then, then as the making of peace is happening, then they try to get in one more word, and then all the anger comes back up. What can be said? It says, "Don't stop me again." So it's difficult to check anger. Once it's there, it's like it needs some time to cool down. But Nrsingadev cooled down in one moment. When Prahlad appeared before him. His anger was so intense that when all the demigods were trying to go in front of him, they couldn't. They were thrown backwards by the power of that anger. And they were very powerful. Even Lord Shiva was like, phew. This is like intense. Lord Brahma didn't want to go before the Lord. Lakshmi Devi couldn't go, so Lord Brahma then said to Prahlad, well, you made him appear, so you pacify him. And he pushed a 5-year-old kid forward, which was quite brutal, in a way, not very heroic. But immediately, Shringadev became very calm, very peaceful. Now he became overwhelmed with affection, overwhelmed with great kindness. And so, Absolute is sentient. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is sentient. And that is the essence of devotional service. It is the love that counts. It is the deep, spontaneous desire to please Krishna. So these ladies were so eager to serve Krishna, so eager to please Krishna. Yes, they felt immediate great separation that Krishna was leaving, because they were very attached to him. But they did not want their tears to in any way interfere with the auspiciousness of his journey, and so they try to check their feelings. It's not so easy to become selfless. The Bhagavatam is giving us this model of these pure devotees. We're seeing here descriptions of men and women, but these men and women are all the associates of the Lord, right? They are by no means ordinary men and women, although they act out pastimes where they seem to be like ordinary women and ordinary men. And sometimes we see that some of the personalities temporarily become covered and temporarily become distracted from their devotional platform. But then they are protected. They are protected ultimately because of their previous service. It does not go in vain. And because it is not all about the devotee reaching out to the Supreme Lord, and the devotee must be perfect. Pure devotional service means one must be perfect. And yet, the living being by nature is infinitesimal, is very insignificant and very small. And the illusory energy is the reflection of the unlimited spiritual energy. Therefore, the potency of Maya is very great. There are 3 energies of the Lord: the Antaranta Shakti, the Tatastha Shakti, the Bahirangi Shakti. The internal energy of the Lord, the marginal energy of the Lord, and the external energy of the Lord. The internal energy, the energy of the spiritual world, the energy of devotional service, all transcendence. The marginal energy, the living beings, they can be on the side of transcendence or on the side of matter. And finally, the external energy, matter. And it is said that somehow or other, the marginal energy, the living energy, is superior to the material energy. Then how is it possible that the superior energy can become controlled by the inferior energy? It is said because the living being is infinitesimal, very small, and and Maya, the external energy, is the reflection of the unlimited spiritual energy. Therefore, Maya is also almost unlimited. Almost. and therefore very difficult. But Daivi is a gunamayi mama maya durachaya mama evya. Just by taking shelter of this divine energy of mind, then one can be delivered from this material energy. So no need to become a great yogi. No need to fast and fast and fast. No need to sit up to the neck in cold water to meditate, or to sit in a ring of fire in the summer. No need for all kinds of austerity. Simply hear, chant about Krishna and serve Krishna, and automatically, natural love of Krishna is awakened. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhu Kabunai Shravanadi Sudachitta Karya Udai. In this way, this path of bhakti is the natural path. It is not a harsh path, such as the path of impersonalism, which is a much more rigid path, where one has to see all matter as just illusion, and one has to give it up, and one has to turn away from the world. But in bhakti, take the things of this world and use them in the service of Krishna, and everything becomes auspicious. Be a full person with all varieties of feelings, and somehow or other, no need to oppress any feelings, right? But just connect them to Krishna, and they'll become purified. Very simple and very sublime. Okay, I'll end. Any questions, any comments? Panchara.
You said not to suppress any feelings. You just ended with that.
Yeah.
And it came to my mind, well, there are certain feelings that don't seem to have much place, like envy of devotees, or the feeling of wanting to be recognized, or a feeling of inadequacy, not from the position of, oh, I'm infinitesimal, but from the position of, I'm not, getting enough out of the world. And so these are feelings born out of ego.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we deal with those feelings?
Yeah. The so-called negative emotions, the lust, greed, anger, and carry on the list, and how to deal with that. The real way to deal with that is to simply serve Krishna. And by serving Krishna, we become purified. Initially, such negative feelings may get in the way, right? But they will be purified. Practically all feelings can be dovetailed, can be connected with Krishna. The tendency to praise, the tendency to be praised, we can turn it around and start praising, right? Everyone. Yes, praise others, praise Krishna. In this way, the praising tendency is still there. So it becomes purified. The quality of envy, we cannot really utilize envy where we hate and want to destroy, but feelings that are close to that, a sense of competition, that can be there. We can compete, we can, and we can feel challenged by someone, right? And when they do better than us, and we can just try and compete and defeat, and that smells a little bit like, are you getting envious now? But ultimately, one has to learn on the spiritual platform, when someone is doing better than us, when someone is greater than us, all right. If someone serves Krishna better than us, all right, then we help them. Then we help them. We just assist them. As simple as that. That is an adjustment. Right? That step has to be taken. One has to overcome. So there are many things to overcome. But the process of devotional service is just automatically balancing all these things out and connecting them all to Krishna. We can help that with a conscious endeavor, but the conscious endeavor is always simply the support, right? We're not going to be able to change ourselves permanently by trying through a conscious endeavor to correct all kinds of qualities within ourselves. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatir kinchana sagir gunais tatasame tatras masate sara manoratena sati davato bahi. It is said that whether we are in the mode of goodness and whether we develop all the good qualities of the demigods by a conscious endeavor, still, if we're not engaging in devotional service, we'll still be in the chariot of the mind, and that chariot of the mind will take us away from the mode of goodness. Therefore, the conscious effort to just develop qualities seems to work. It seems to help. It seems that we can check. It seems that we can correct our lower nature, our negative emotions. It seems to be so. But not in a lasting way unless we engage in devotional service. So therefore, the first and foremost means to balance negative emotions, purify them, transform them into positive emotion is through devotional service, and then the conscious effort is an effort of the mode of goodness, which is a supportive element. Like that.
Thank you so much for this class. So I like one point that what is the use of our lamentation if it doesn't help us serve? But sometimes we can know it, right? Because we have some kind of knowledge from the books. But even though we understand it, it's very hard to go through some kind of depression or bad feelings, low energy. How to deal with this, even when we understand that it doesn't help me serve?
Yeah, well, I use an analogy of the tightrope, and that the tightrope is high in the circus, and that is the platform where we are realized. That is the platform where we are operating on attachment for Krishna and so on. And when we're not able to be on that level of the tightrope, one level below is a net, and the net is the mode of goodness. And the mode of goodness is made of like many strands, that all mix together. So it's a whole lifestyle that bound by certain ways of behavior. So it's external, It's not internal. It's then an external system of behavior that helps us to lift ourselves up from lower negative emotions, whether it's depression or excessive anger or hate or whatever, or racism, or I was looking at the man on the plane as I flew here on the aisle, on the other side of the aisle, and for 6 hours he played the same computer game, shooting. Yeah? He's like 6 hours, he's just like shooting different things. Right? And I was just wondering, what does that do to you when you do that for 6 hours, just shooting like that? Is it like, oh my God, right? Then I watched that. 6 hours he did that. Still going. Wow. So, whatever that is, it looks to me like a lower state of consciousness, and then there's a code of behavior, of goodness, which is above that. So we try and embrace that. And then we get up to the net, right? At least we're off the ground, where we are falling prey to the waves of the modes of nature, to lower emotions and lower drives and all these kind of things. And then we're at least on the net. But it's a little tight up there, it's like it's not comfortable walking on that net. It's just because it's all prescribed. You all have to act according to duty. Duty, heavy duty. It's like you want your freedom. So it's a little difficult. But then once we, from that platform, it's a lounging platform, then there's a ladder that goes up to the rope, and okay, on that cord of pure love of Krishna, there. Once we are up there, then we are free. Free from this gravity that pulls us down. Just up. Not like that. Okay, that's an analogy. Hope it works. We shall stop. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada
Hare
ki
Krishna,
jai.
Jai Prabhupada.